By 12?
Basically, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much for presenting today. Next up, we are going to hear from our public universities, Dr. Kelly Ryan from Eastern Oregon University and Zoey Alexander, a UO student, are presenting next. And also trembles.
Just sliding.
I needed some hands.
Dr. Ryan, welcome.
Good morning, Chair Hudson and members of the committee. My name is Kelly Ryan, and I have the good fortune of serving as the president of Eastern Oregon University. I'm joined today by Zoey Alexander, a senior at University of Oregon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today on behalf of Oregon's 7 public universities to provide a brief overview of how these institutions serve our state, our students, and our economy. I hope it is the first of many conversations. As the session progresses, we look forward to partnering with you to create a stronger future for Oregon students and public universities. Oregon is home to 7 public universities, each with unique strengths, missions, and communities that reflect the very diverse needs of our state. From research-intensive universities to regional institutions, urban, suburban, rural, we offer a wide array of degrees, credentials, and programs that collectively reach around 100,000 undergraduate and graduate students each year. Our universities are more than campuses. They're cornerstones of opportunity and critical to the well-being of the communities in which we reside. We welcome students from every corner of the state and beyond, connecting learners of all backgrounds with the transformative power of higher education. For many, a public university education is the critical first step towards realizing their potential, building meaningful careers, and giving back to their communities. The value of a public university education is clear. In Oregon, adults over 25 with a bachelor's degree earn 70% more annually than those with only a high school diploma. These higher earnings don't just benefit the individuals with the credentials. They uplift Oregon's families. They strengthen our communities, and they fuel a more robust and resilient economy. And as you have already heard from our community college partners, university and community college educated students give back. The impact of our universities extends really far beyond teaching of students. For generations, public universities have been pillars of public service, operating state programs, partnering with communities, and driving local economies through workforce development, job creation, and industry collaboration. At the same time, groundbreaking research at our universities is solving complex problems, fostering innovation, and deepening our understanding of the world around us. Universities are critical, again, to the economies and the communities in which they reside. Well, I could walk you through the data and talking points about our universities, some of which are included in your meeting materials. Today, I'd like to focus on the broader picture. How Oregon's public universities are uniquely positioned to partner with you in achieving the state's goals and driving its future success. As we look ahead, Oregon stands at a crossroads for its economic future. Like many states, we face pressing challenges that demand very bold actions. How do we create an economy that creates high-paying, sustainable jobs for Oregon's families? How do we expand access to opportunities so that every single Oregonian, regardless of their background or their zip code, can thrive? How do we ensure Oregon's economy remains resilient and competitive in a rapidly changing region and world? Public universities are uniquely positioned to answer these questions. We educate the workforce of tomorrow, preparing graduates to thrive in this rapidly evolving economy and meeting critical workforce shortages. We drive innovation, conducting groundbreaking research and partnering with industries to tackle the state's biggest problems, from environmental resilience to behavioral health. And we expand equity and opportunity by providing students from all backgrounds with access to the tools and resources that they'll need to succeed so that every Oregonian has the chance to contribute to our state's future. But the hard truth is, Oregon is underinvesting in our future, and we must do more. While other states have recognized that investments in a strong, accessible, and high-quality higher education is critical to economic development, our social fabric, and our well-being, Oregon needs to take those bold investments seriously and clear a path towards a brighter future. And I do appreciate the work that has happened recently to expand some of that funding. But unfortunately, Oregon provides its public universities with far less funding per student than the national average, including all of our neighbors. As you can see on the screen, this gap in state funding is pushing costs of providing a high-quality public university education onto students and their families, pushing the benefits of higher education out of reach for many Oregon students, and it's leading to a talent drain as students attend universities out of state and then they decide to stay there. The real impact of public universities is, of course, always best understood by the voices of the students we serve. Zoey Alexander, a senior at the University of Oregon, is one of those students. Her story is such a powerful reminder of what these investments make possible, not just for individuals, but for families, for our communities, for our state as a whole. Zoey?
Hello, Chair Hudson, Vice Chair Harbrick, and Vice Chair Fogla, and members of the committee. My name is Zoey Alexander. I'm a senior at the University of Oregon, graduating this June with a bachelor's degree in planning, public policy and management, and minors in political science and nonprofit administration. I'm a first-generation college student raised by a single mother who worked multiple jobs to support my sister and I. Growing up in a small coastal community with limited academic resources, I worked hard to give myself opportunities for a future I could be proud of. While I earned scholarships and financial aid, it was state and university funding that made higher education a reality for me. This critical resource provided me the opportunity to see the benefits of the hard work I put into my early education. Without it, I would not have been able to make the most of my college experience. Oregon's investments in higher education helped me to thrive by giving me the tools and support to grow academically, personally, and allowed me to contribute to my community. I studied abroad in Spain, an experience that broadened my cultural understanding and improved my ability to connect with people from different backgrounds. And since returning, I've applied that experience by tutoring elementary school students from underserved communities and interning at a humane society in Lane County, where I help organize community events and fundraisers. Without investments in higher education, these experiences would not have been possible. Public funding relieved some of my financial burden, giving me time to grow as a student and a person. Access to higher education isn't just about individual benefits, it's also about creating systems of support and opportunities that empower students to succeed. As a first-generation, low-income college student, I often felt as though I didn't know what to expect in college. But thanks to a network of counselors and programs supported by public funds at my university, I had the guidance and resources to navigate challenges, stay focused, and achieve my goals. Now, as I prepare to graduate, I will be pursuing my master's degree in education and plan to work as an elementary school teacher in underserved communities. The support that I've received has made me determined to give back to my communities and help others access the opportunities that have shaped my journey. State funding for public universities and student aid really is critical to make higher education more affordable and accessible and provide tools for students to succeed in the classroom and beyond. Investing in higher education has a ripple effect. Not only does it transform the lives of students like me, but it allows us to succeed, enter the workforce, and contribute meaningfully to our communities. I urge you to prioritize investments in public education in universities, which will create lasting benefits for individuals and the state of Oregon as a whole. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and for supporting students like me.
Thank you, Zoe.
Good job. Thank you, Zoe. Zoe's story is a really powerful reminder of what's at stake. She is one of thousands of students whose success and whose ability to contribute to Oregon's future depends on our commitment to higher education. I'm awfully proud of her. As the Oregonian's editorial board recently wrote, quote, "For Oregon to remain competitive, it needs to invest in higher education institutions as well as K-12. Oregon can no longer afford to forget about students after high school graduation. K-12 education lays a really important foundation, but it's Oregon's public universities that prepare students to take off, giving them the skills, knowledge, and opportunities they need to thrive in high-demand careers that drive our state's success and, like Zoe's choice, our well-being for the future generations. We know the state's going to face tough budget decisions. But investing in students in public universities isn't just a choice. It's the smartest decision you can make. It's an investment in families, communities, and the long-term strength of our economy. And let's not forget the role that universities play in preserving history, creating a shared culture and understanding, advancing the arts and civic education, and exploring and making meaning out of our shared experiences as human beings. It's an investment that will pay dividends for generations, creating a stronger and more prosperous state. So as you work this session to strengthen higher education and workforce development in our state, I urge you to remember to invest in students, invest in Oregon, and invest in your public universities. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Committee members, are there questions? Representative Wright.
Couple of comments. Thank you, Chair. A couple of comments. I had the opportunity to visit Eastern Oregon University a couple summers ago, being on the committee for literacy for K-5. Extremely impressed with the program there. Thank you for what that leadership and continuing progress there. My question to you is, how is the implementation of the new standards going? How are you feeling about the process?
As you know, we have a professor who's sort of just, one of these experts in early reading, and she's incredible and is playing a really important role in this rollout. And I think that she felt heard and seen, and that's sometimes difficult when you're on the east side, when you're from a small rural university. And she was really, I think, an important component of that. We have really paired well with our local K-12 communities and are working with them directly. But then, of course, there's also the statewide rollout that's centered in the West that we're hopeful, marries well with our rural populations as well. I should share, I'm always kind of talking about rural regions because I represent Eastern Oregon, and that is your rural serving institution.
Representative Youngkin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I got a question. A comment and a two-part question is, there was just a new executive order from the president. Yeah. And there was also a court case in 2023 about student affair admissions in Harvard, and it has to do with public funds and discrimination, DEI, and we're seeing a lot of reversals in that. And I was looking through your slides, and you have this still in your slides about DEI and culture capacity. And so I'm wondering, because you're talking about funds, and the student there was talking about funds, how much federal funds does the state for colleges receive, and directly or indirectly, and how is this going to affect their Pell Grants, veterans benefits, and how is the public universities going to comply with the law, or are they going to comply with the laws? And I just want to know what your plan is to apply so our students are not being hurt by these things.
Thank you, Representative Younger, Representative Hudson. So we are aware of the executive order about diversity education. The universities have to await guidance from the federal government on what is expected of us prior to making any ill-informed moves. I expect that universities across the nation will likely hear from the Secretary of Education in the coming months as she determines determines how to best interpret President Trump's guidance and deliver that guidance to each of the universities across the United States. In addition to that, we all have accrediting bodies that we also have to meet their guidelines. And so the universities will also await guidance from the Northwest Coordinating Commission on higher education to ensure, again, that we're not taking misguided steps. We do need guidance from both the accrediting body and from the Secretary of Education to press forward on that. To your more particularized question about numbers of federal funding, I will have to get back to you, if that's all right, with a particular number. You're right. We serve a great number of students who are Pell eligible. These are the students with high poverty levels. I know at my own university, there are 37% of our population. It is a critical means of being able to afford education in Oregon, and it is a significant investment. And I should share with you that federal compliance around those funds is actually quite strict. We are audited, we send reports, those reports are audited, and so compliance with the federal government, it's not really negotiable.
Thank you for that answer.
Representative Wright.
Follow up, please, Chair. This is directed at Director Lutz, who represents the University of Oregon. I'd like to compliment you on, we've been working together on the Marine Science Center Marine Biology down in Charleston. What an amazing program. Thank you for working with me and hopefully helping to support them.
Representative Wright, Chair Hudson, members of the committee, my name is Trent Lutz. I'm representing the University of Oregon. Thank you. We're very excited about all of the programs that are accessible across the state of Oregon and our colleagues, and including in the South Coast, and so and the work that we do for marine and biology research. So thank you for working with us.
Thank you. Dr. Ryan, you represent one of our regional universities, and members of our committee might not be familiar with the difference between regionals, R1s, R2s, and the other different kinds of public universities that we have. If you just take a moment to let us know what those divisions are, and if you'd like, feel free to talk about some of the challenges that as a regional university you might be facing in particular.
Thank you for the opportunity, Representative Hudson. So the regional institutions do have different missions than Oregon State and University of Oregon. The research and innovation missions are kind of particularly distinct to those two institutions, though you could arguably see, good research, good innovations in our local regional institutions. In general, with Portland State excluded, University of Oregon and, of course, Oregon State are your largest institutions, but Portland is also a very large university. The mission of the regional institutions is a little bit similar to what you heard from our community college peers. We work routinely with them. While we are not open access institutions, we do attempt to try and take as many of those students as we can to ensure that they have the benefits of educational opportunity. And we are, very uniquely tied to our communities. Arguably, every single university in this state is a kind of economic driver in the communities in which we reside. But for those of us who exist in much smaller communities, we are a kind of lifeblood. We also basically serve, for example, as spaces where you can host an event. We're talking about much smaller communities. But again, I think our primary mission is basically trying to help those students, first-generation students maybe, whose parents most likely didn't attend college, have a means and ways that is affordable to have a 4-year degree. As you note, it is a difficult position in which the TRUs and PSU do reside. our universities are more dependent on higher education funding from the state, for example, than the others. And what this means is we have very narrow margins. Since I've assumed my presidency, I've had the good fortune of having rising enrollments, and yet I've had to cut my budget $5 million. And this is very difficult to do when you're already so feeling like you're cutting against the bone. It's an extremely difficult position to be in. We want to do our best, as our community college partner peers suggested, but we also only have that one lever, and it is tuition. And so without funding from the state, I literally don't have another lever to pull. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. All right. We appreciate you coming in today. Committee members, we have one more group from which we are hearing. I'd like to welcome Dr. Holmes Sullivan, president of Lewis and Clark College.